que se apoia. Mas principalmente a liderança.
Cara, tem que ir lá avisar ele, não sei. Tá sem áudio na live, Vamos ter que reabrir. Tá tudo bem, deixa a live, só tô arrumando áudio. Tá sem áudio na live, Não, agora tá com áudio. Agora foi. Agora tá com áudio.
Esse lugar era uma outra coisa 2 semanas atrás, tem um pessoal aqui que sabe, né? O Nico sabe, etc. E agora tem um espaço agradável, com equipamento, com infraestrutura, para a gente conseguir dar todo esse apoio para vocês. Hoje foi o primeiro dia desse grande evento, que vai rolar até dia 9 de maio, e a gente finaliza ele com um Demo Day, que vai rolar bem nesse palco aqui. Então as equipes vão poder apresentar para investidores, né, investidor anjo, VCs, etc., de verdade, aqui nesse palco onde eu estou agora. E nosso objetivo é, claro, obviamente, receber feedback desses investidores, mas quem não sabe já não sai o negócio, né, rolando no Demo Day daqui. Então, a partir de quarta-feira também a gente vai abrir slot para mentoria com várias pessoas da equipe, pessoas da Solana, com outras equipes, e também a gente tem alimentação, que a gente falou, e hoje a gente vai fazer um churrasco, tá, para dar o início. Então logo após aqui vai rolar o churrasco. Estamos só esperando então, o match. Shima, esqueci de falar alguma coisa ou mencionar alguma coisa importante?
É porque ele montou
Verdade, quarta-feira esse workshop é o cara que ganhou em primeiro lugar o último hackathon, então a equipe dele ficou em primeiro lugar, depois de participar 4 vezes do hackathon. Então é um cara que tem muita experiência em participar do hackathon da Solana especificamente, tá? E é um cara super firme, legal, é muito experiente na parte de releases e na parte técnica também. Então acho que vai ser uma bela de uma experiência. Tava pingando aqui. Puxa aí só para ver se o Matt respondeu. Hoje a gente tem um convidado de honra muito bacana, que é um dos principais jurados, se não o principal, tá? Ele é um dos principais investidores do fundo Colosseum, que é o que realiza esse evento juntamente com a Solana. E ele vai estar aqui tanto para explicar um pouco ali o que é o Colosseum, qual é a tese deles, onde eles investem, de onde veio o dinheiro, mas também para tirar um pouco de dúvida do pessoal. Então a gente tem que usar e abusar hoje para meter todas as dúvidas que a gente tem lá nele e pegar o feedback do cara. Então esse cara é o cara que no fim do dia vai assinar o cheque. Então a gente tem que entender o que ele está buscando, certo? Beleza. Deixa eu só...
Você vai apresentar agora?
Puxar aqui. Vamos lá, daqui a pouquinho.
Vai amanhã.
Você guardou ele 1 hora, eu acho. Por isso que eu mandado aqui, ó. Ele não respondeu nada. Tá, beleza. E aí, eu vou deixar em pausa enquanto ele não chega. Era para ele chegar agora, acho que está um pouquinho atrasado. Mas aí a gente volta com ele. Já vamos pensando nas dúvidas. Tem um pessoal assistindo a gente remotamente, o pessoal que está aqui presencialmente. Vamos pensar em dúvidas já legais que a gente pode fazer. É um cara que vai ter pouco tempo. Não é um cara de fácil acesso, porque ele está sempre, ainda mais agora, nessa época do ano. E é um cara, pô, que a gente tem a chance da gente entender exatamente o que ele está buscando ali,
Vai muito longe.
para conseguir ser bem avaliado, etc. Conseguir
Ele vai pegar
uma boa colocação no hackathon. Show?
Ou esse daqui só vai pegar o microfone dele. Ah, vai ser o computador?
Vou colocar
Eu acho que tem que
deixa
conectar no Bluetooth do Chico. O cara vai sair. Deixa eu só entender. O cara
vai entrar aqui e vai
puxar aqui
aí como tá mandando o som por aqui,
em loop, enquanto a gente espera o
aí tem
match,
que botar no Bluetooth.
daqui a pouco a gente volta, pessoal.
Tá.
Como é que faz aqui?
O cara vai entrar aí, né? Ele vai entrar lá ou aqui? Ele tá montando sozinho, tá vendo?
Tem mais
Aquele PC tá no StreamYard, né?
Então foi isso. O que tá querendo lá, ele tá montando aqui, porque ele montou de novo sozinho. Então, não sei. O PC tá conectado.
Eu não manjo StreamYard, eu não manjo assim, cara, não vou afirmar nada, porque eu...
Ele mutou de...
agora não mutou,
Será que
não.
não é tipo.
Agora não mutou, né?
Não. Então será que não era o microfone que tá no PC?
Pode ser. Chegou aí?
Hey, Maddie, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
All good, all good. Thank you for joining us. We have 2 cameras, so everybody can see the place. We do have our laptop here. I have Shima's with me. And then,
Hi.
and then we have a camera taking the full place here. We have other player on.
Great.
But we have a bunch of builders here in Brazil, all together building for the Colosseum. And excited to chat with you today.
Awesome. Boa noite.
Oh, boa noite. Mary, yeah, fun fact, Mary knows a little bit of Portuguese, right? Otherwise, your wife gets
Yeah,
mad.
I did.
Okay, Mary, thank you so much for your time and to be here with us tonight. We just wanted to go over quickly, because we know you don't have a lot of time, on some questions. But initially, I was going to ask you just to give a quick overview about what's Colosseum, how you guys raised the capital that you guys used to invest on the companies, and why is the thesis right behind Colosseum?
Sure. Yeah, for those that don't know, Colosseum at its core is a venture fund. And so we have traditional LPs who some are like college, university endowments. One of the LPs is the Solana Foundation. We have multifamily offices and a variety of different other kind of like individuals who run family offices that are providing us capital to basically invest in new startups in the crypto space. And specifically, our model is by obviously running these online hackathons and other competitions to find really talented builders so that we can invest in them at the pre-seed and invite them to our accelerator program, which is in San Francisco and online. And so, yeah, in terms of what we look for, we don't have, obviously we have this thesis around crypto, and specifically crypto being primarily a financial technology to use. So trading, payments, anything that involves the creation of assets, the trading of those assets, the exchange of assets. And so that's a pretty broad number of use cases that could potentially exist. But I guess our main thing is that we're looking for really, really talented technical teams that are at the earliest stages and that have proven that they can maybe bring a product to market, to communicate why that product is important, and have the technical ability to actually execute on the product vision. And so that's why we love these hackathons as like a way to sort of not only grow the Solana ecosystem generally to bring in more developers, but also as a way for us to sort of evaluate founder talent for our accelerator and our venture fund. So hopefully that kind of gives you a high level of what we do. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, now you can?
Well, now you're muted again.
Parou de falar?
Você está ouvindo o Kuka falar aqui?
Não, o Kuka não. Vê se o Kuka tá saindo lá no áudio.
So the 6.
Aí.
Hello. Now you hear me? Okay, there we go.
We're good.
My mic's muted because we have 2 in the same location. So like from the studio one. All right, no, great. Thank you so much for going over that. And then just one very specific question from my side, and then after I'll open for some questions from the audience here. Last year, we had 2 teams with Brazilians participating in being accelerated by you guys. We had Cloak and Frames. So what was like the big point, if you remember, on top of your head, like that made you guys take the decision to invest in them and take your time and put your time into them?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One is just that each one of those teams pretty clearly had done a lot of research into the areas that they were building. So frames with agentic payments and Cloak with sort of the privacy tech that was available, and they had sort of done enough market research to understand like maybe where some opportunity points and where kind of maybe others had failed, why that they would succeed. And furthermore, they had gone in sort of this process of like, even before they were really bringing the product to market, but they were going through the process of like building something, iterating on an idea, and then going and talking to a customer to validate if that was something that people wanted. And then going back to the drawing board if people didn't want it, and coming in with something new, asking users, and so on and so forth. And so I think both those teams were sort of already in that really important sort of builder mode where you're sort of iterating quickly, but then you're also pausing to validate the idea if this is what you should be building in the first place, and getting that feedback and putting that into the next sort of engineering sprint, whether you guys were in the right direction or not. So I think both of those teams were doing that. I think also those are both pretty like big areas with lots of opportunity in the future that we just believe. Like we think that privacy is sort of a core feature of what crypto enables, and being able to put that into some sort of commercial product and bring that to market, I think will have a big impact someday. It hasn't happened yet, but I think we feel pretty confident that as long as a team is sort of not going to quit and just creating on ideas within that general market, something is going to come out the other side. The same with sort of agentic payments. Like agentic payments don't really have a lot of commercial viability today, but it's very clear to us that in the future, agents will be, making a lot of payments on behalf of its humans, right? And obviously between each other. And so being in that area, experimenting, going really quickly to try to validate where that sort of what product direction you should take is kind of what we want to see in early stage teams. And so that's kind of how we thought about it for both of those teams.
Okay, no, awesome. Can you hear me? It's good?
Yeah.
All right, great. And you spoke a little bit about early stage teams, but I know you guys are open as well on onboarding some teams with traction, right? And some mid stage. Is traction important at all for the Colosseum? And if so, it's a bonus to have traction?
It can be, it can be helpful if you have some traction for sure, that the market is sort of potentially validating what you're building. I would say it's pretty rare to have, there's a lot of teams that come to us that say they have traction. Maybe they have like a few thousand users or something like that, and they have some paying customers, but having a few thousand users, especially in crypto, doesn't always mean that you have any sort of like product market fit. It could just be that people are interested with the novelty. Maybe there's like a token that's like incentivizing people to use your app. This happens a lot in DeFi where people sort of incentivize trading volume, etc. And so I think it can be very important. If what's more important basically is that you can prove to us that there's at least like 5 to 10 users that are organically using your product and love your product. They're going to use it every day or every week or whatever the cadence is, and that they're not going to stop in the future. That's a lot more important to us than having like a few thousand users who maybe aren't in love with your product, but are using it for other reasons. And so I think what we're looking for is like really, really sticky retention with an organic set of users that you can identify to find more of those type of users in the future. And so I think that's more important to us than absolute numbers.
Got it. All right. Now I'll just open for some questions here and then I'll translate. And yeah.
Parou. Não. Parou o Kuka. Parou o Kuka.
Ele tá falando alguma coisa?
Não, ele tá quieto. O Kuka não tá falando. Não tá sendo assim.
Saiu o áudio, não sei por quê.
Saiu o áudio.
Saiu?
Não mexi nada.
Ah, você tá mutando. Ah, não, pera.
Não, tá aí, ó. Aqui, ó.
Ah, não, mas não tá saindo nem no retorno aqui.
Não tá sendo, mas o carinha também não tá?
Não, ele não tá falando nada, eu acho.
Tá, e só o Kuka, né?
Aham.
Calma aí.
Ele deu uma estrelada aqui, né?
Calma. Só falando.
Maddie? Can you hear us?
No,
I think you. No.
it look like I can. I think you're on mute on this one screen. Maybe that.
Let me check.
All right, I can hear you through the other one. So maybe if you speak loudly, I can get it.
Okay, I'll try to speak a little bit louder. Is there anything you want to share more about what you guys are looking for this year, or touch base in any subject that you guys think it's important to share with our gladiators here?
No, I mean maybe I'd like reverse that a little bit rather than if someone's like wondering like, oh, what does Coliseum want to fund, or what does the Solana ecosystem need funding, or what what should I build? I think our answer to that is always like the best products and the best product submissions that we like review at the end of every hackathon. Teach us why you should care about something. Like basically, if someone's done a lot of research into a specific area or has found some sort of opportunity, the best projects teach me something about why that opportunity exists that I didn't know already. And so I think my recommendation to people is to figure out what you find useful, what you would be the first user of, go build that, and then try to get a few other people who are like you to kind of beta test the product. And then, in your presentation, be like, hey, this is why I want this to exist. I would be the first user of this. I'm really interested or passionate in this particular use case vertical, and this is why Coliseum should care, because it's going to be a really big vertical in the future. So that's how I would frame it.
Nice. Let's open for some questions for the crowd. Can we have a few minutes for some questions, Maddie, with you?
Yep.
Yeah. Quem quer vir primeiro?
Esses anos com os fundadores da Solana?
Não, Solana não.
Colasim.
Qual? Colasim. Que é o VC, né?
Aqui é a paradinha ali do. É um projeto ou uma aplicação? Uma blockchain?
All right, Maddie. First question here is a little bit of infrastructure projects are welcome and good seen. I believe so, but I wanted to hear a little bit more about your point of view on infra projects, because most of infra projects that we have were like open source and stuff like that, and not as a business. So are infra products welcome to compete as a business? And if safety will be a big thing on this Coliseum due to all the hacks that happened, right? We had Drift, now we had the obvious situation, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely we're open to infrastructure projects, and we're open to open source infrastructure projects. In fact, like this is another thing that's sort of maybe something counterintuitive, but a lot of the best products, let's say that you want to build some open source infrastructure that's like really, really useful. If you can get a lot of users, even that aren't paying, and there's very little, I guess, revenue generation with using that open source software, oftentimes people will parlay that into a profitable business. So like there's a classic of like Linux, but then there's like Red Hat. There's like all sorts of times in technology where someone's released some sort of open source technology, but then monetized a business around it. Docker is maybe another like example of this. And so I think we're definitely open to that, but you need to explain that in your submission that like, hey, I've created this piece of open source software. This is something that's like really needed. A lot of people are going to use it. I know that there's not necessarily a business here today, but if this gets adopted by the crypto ecosystem or whatever user base you're going after, like we can figure out a way to sort of monetize parts of it for in the future. So that's what I would, I guess, say about open source. And then the second part of the question was about safety. Yeah, I mean, obviously, DeFi is not as secure as everyone thought, and maybe that there are really good businesses around making it easier to have like a more bulletproof multi-sig setup, which seems to be often the problem here, which is, or maybe there's software or business to be had about how to prevent social engineering or add more checks around that, because that seems to be the problem. So I think that's like another interesting thing is that like oftentimes these security problems are not always like a technical, like an obvious technical thing that needs to happen. The technology is always there, but maybe you can create some sort of business around like making it easy to do the best practices using the technology at hand. I think maybe a good example from history has been so Squads, the multi-sig company started as a hackathon project years ago, and in the hackathon they just set out to build like the most secure multi-sig that they could possibly build, and that wasn't, I guess, a huge business initially, but over time they've obviously layered on features that they can monetize around that core. And so I think that's maybe a good example of like a safety related infra project that people have been able to monetize.
Okay, no, awesome. Let me get another question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Hello, Maddie, can you hear me?
Yeah. Speak up a little bit though. Quite hear you.
Okay, so just to contextualize you, we are open at Pro Dev Tools for Solana, and most transactions in high demand periods have zero visibility into where the compute units went. So developers mostly manually debug logs for hours, and it's clearly foundational. So all builders would love to have this, but infrastructure is traditionally hard to monetize. So our question is, how does Colosseum evaluate projects in this position? And what's the strongest signal that tells you one will scale as a business versus just being a free tool that everyone loves?
Yeah, so this is sort of similar to the last question about how you monetize open source tools or software. Yeah, it's sometimes difficult to say. I think a recent example of this was so one of the winners in our second hackathon was this company called TXTX, and they sort of had this vision that they were going to build this tool called Surfpool, which maybe some of you have used or not, but it's a way to sort of test before going to mainnet, and they couldn't end up finding a business around it, even though most of the ecosystem uses Surfpool before they launch on mainnet. And so it can be really difficult. I think usually given that it is about like trading and payments and sort of these things, there's usually maybe some data or some sort of information that's coming off of the open source software that you can package and stuff. And so there's usually maybe a business involved if this plugin is not but it's hard to say. Yeah, I wish I had a better answer to that. But basically, the most important thing though is that build something that people want to use. Whether you can monetize that or not, you can talk about it and see if there's a business there. But I think the first part of the problem is like finding something that people actually do want to use, whether it's paid for or not.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, hello.
Hey.
Hi. Hello, Mary. I'm building Zupi. It's a loyalty platform, and I have a lot of Web2 users that I'm onboarding to Web3. And I want to know if it counts the same the traction that we have with Web2 users onboarding to Web3 for the Colosseum.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if those users are generating revenue, if they're producing value within your product, 100% it counts. I guess my question to you is, like, why are you trying to move your Web2 users to transact on chain or through a blockchain? I'm just curious, like, why are you doing that? Like, what is the product?
Yeah, because we launched an engagement token that the users can use around all the network. So it's essential for us to be the CNFT and the arcade token to be on the user's possession for that.
Got
So
it.
we
And
simply onboarding.
what is the product though? Like, what is the network? What is the service that they're getting out of it?
I offer a social loyalty platform. It's like a loyalty platform that uses WhatsApp and Apple Wallet now. And we are building the coupons to bring new users for the CAC for the restaurants people. So
Got it.
this is to be on tracking on the chain.
Got it. So it's a restaurant loyalty app. Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely counts. Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously during the hackathon, we're going to be judging kind of like what you built during that period of time. So we're just going to be looking at kind of maybe the Web3 or the on-chain implementation during the course of the hackathon. But yeah, definitely, we'll be looking at the full business, including all the Web2 users that could convert over.
Okay, thank you.
One last question, Maddie.
Sure.
Chuck.
Hi, Mary. I'm Thiago, founder and CEO of Caxis Club. I returned the hackathon of Coliseo. Mary, in Brazil is the nation of fintech. And saw that Coliseo is looking at the new bank thesis for Latam. In new bank, would profitability be more important than some unfunction? What feature is important for a new bank for you?
Sorry,
to go to market.
I don't know if I understand the question. Is the question what's most important when we're judging about what features to add to a bank, or did you say new bank?
New bank. Go to market the new bank in start operation. What feature is very important to you?
Sorry, are you starting a new bank, or are you talking about new bank, like the company?
Okay, sorry, let me get it here. So they are launching basically a new bank, and he was asking, what are the major points that you guys are going to look at, and if the functionalities inside the new bank, like let's say it's better to have 3 types of products inside of the new bank or focus in one, and if that's taking into consideration, like, this is a very complete product, right? Rather than, that's just a product with one functionality or something like that.
Yeah, so part of the evaluation of why we run the hackathon is to see kind of what builders prioritized. And so when you're thinking about, okay, well, what features should we prioritize first? Or what should we work on first? It's usually best to try to figure out, okay, what is the minimum number of features that we need to build to actually get to market, to see if there's any like market validation. And so if there's like one specific feature for a new bank that you think is gonna bring in a lot of users. Let's say it's like connecting to DeFi yield or some sort of like stablecoin, no fees on stablecoin payments or something like that. Like you have to figure out what is like the killer feature that you think is going to bring in the most users initially, and I would just focus on that one feature and try to get it to market as fast as possible. And then after you're in market, maybe after the hackathon, like try to figure out what are the next features to work on next.
Traction is more important for the future, sir. Correct?
Again, like I think getting user feedback as early as possible and launching your product as quickly as possible is probably more important to us than having a lot of features that no one cares about. So I think my recommendation would be to focus on like the most important feature and try to get that out to market, to go to market for that first, and then see how it goes.
Thanks.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Matt. I think we already stole too much of your time, but is there any final considerations or final topics you think is important to let all these people here know?
Yeah, I think obviously my recommendation is to build whatever you're passionate about or you think that there's like a huge opportunity around. But I think being in Brazil, being in Latin America, you're probably experiencing different financial problems or experience opportunities for financial apps that don't exist in the United States. The markets are different, right? So for instance, like maybe the remittance between Brazil and Argentina is like really messed up or whatever. Maybe the fees are really, really high. I would never know that because I don't do that transaction. But maybe, you know, your grandma lives in Argentina and you send a lot of money back and forth and you understand the pain of that particular problem that maybe you can solve with stable coins or whatever. That's just like one example. Maybe there's some issue with lending within the banking system, or like, you know, there's just all these like regional problems that you uniquely being in Brazil or Latin America are probably aware of that we don't know about. And so what I'm looking for maybe with presentations is like, hey, like I live in Sao Paulo, or maybe like, you know, there's this like really big opportunity because this remittance issue between Brazil and, you know, Bolivia or wherever, and this is how we're going to solve it with stablecoins. Here's how we're going to market. We already have a few users that we're talking about that do a lot of remittance payments back and forth, and so that's kind of one of the things that I look for, especially when talking with like regional super teams, because of just the nature of you guys being global.
Nice. No, that's great. So basically using like our local knowledge as our unfair advantage in this case.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, awesome. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Matty. Shimas, you wanna say anything? Final words?
No, just thank you, Matty. I know how hard it is during this time of year for you. So taking a few hours to speak with us, to help with the Brazilian community, it means a lot to us. So thank you a lot.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and good luck to everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see ya.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Beleza, pessoal? Pô, foi uma conversa bem bacana. Deu para tirar bastante dúvida. Vai estar gravado, então dá para assistir no YouTube depois. A gente faz um resumo e manda para todo mundo. Acho que bateu alguns pontos importantes, agora, ainda mais agora no final, que ele falou para a gente observar bem e usar isso a nosso favor, que é a nossa regionalidade, né? O conhecimento que a gente tem sobre nossos problemas, sobre o nosso país, e sobre problemas aqui que a gente tem também na América Latina, que é algo que ele falou que ele quer ver também. Então, vamos dar de exemplo aqui, a ZUP, por exemplo, pode falar da parte de cupom e restaurantes do Brasil, e por aí vai, entendeu? Então, acho que pode ser bacana, uma das coisas que a gente tirou disso.
Eu conversei com as meninas antes e ele reforçou para vocês novamente. Eles foram escolhidos porque eles eram deep thinkers, deep researchers. Eles não ficaram no superficial. Eles foram a fundo. Eles estavam dominando o tema. O Marcelinho não está sendo convidado pela Zcash para dar a palestra no lugar dos caras sobre ZK. É porque o cara se debruçou infinito na parada. Se é para entender, eu quero entender mais que todo mundo. Então, isso é muito importante, porque mesmo que você não consiga entregar um MVP a tempo, se você conseguir demonstrar a sua evolução e o quanto você está dominando do assunto, fica muito mais fácil você chamar a atenção deles e você ser convidado para conversar. Acho que esse é um ponto bem...
Não, é muito
É o
importante.
3 a 4?
E também, você falou um pouco ali do open source, não tem problema nenhum em fazer coisa open source. Todavia, é legal você mostrar o seu plano de monetização. Falar assim, vou fazer isso assim, mas eu penso no futuro tentar monetizar XYZ dessa forma. O que mais foi legal? Segurança, ele falou um pouco ali sobre a Squads, né, uma sigla da Solana, que foi a que a Drift usava, que todo mundo usa, na verdade, que sofreu ataque. Então, segurança acho que vai ser um tópico legal agora no Hackathon. Falou da parte de agentes no começo, né, de pagamento de agente, que ele acha que vai ser essencial para o futuro. Então, acho que é uma tese deles, possivelmente. Concordo, inclusive. Então, acho que foi bacana. Deu para tirar algumas dúvidas legais. A gente vai tentar depois fazer até uma... Eu faço um compile assim, das perguntas, a gente manda para eles também por chat, para ver se tem alguma que ficou de fora que seja interessante de bater ali. Mas é isso, pessoal. Obrigado, bora buildar. Vai tentar sair da churrasqueira daqui a pouco, fazer um churro, certo? E amanhã estamos aqui de novo. Vamos cedo. Valeu!